Hey everyone, so I've been putting together tier lists for every role. I actually started with the Clash Lane tier list, then I made the Roamer one, and after that the Marksman list. And yeah, I know some of you weren't too happy with those. Some people said Arlie shouldn't be in B tier, and others were surprised at how low I ranked Nua. But here's the thing, tier lists aren't just about who we like, they're about performance. How many players can actually use that hero properly? How easy are they to play? What's the damage output like? And most importantly, what's the win rate? Now, I've pushed 100 stars on every single role, so this list comes straight from both stats and my own experience. And today, we're wrapping it up with my final tier list, the junglers. Butterfly, the queen of resets and one of the scariest snowball junglers in the entire game. Once she gets rolling, she never stops. Every kill or assist resets her cooldowns, and then it's just skill after skill, slash after slash. Enemies don't even get a chance to breathe. But here's the tricky part. Butterfly is super risky. If you go in at the wrong time and fail to secure a kill, you're instantly cooked. She's squishy, and good crowd control will completely shut her down. Stats-wise, her win rate hovers around the average mark. Her pick rate is low because many players are scared to test her mechanics, and her ban rate isn't that high because honestly, most players think nobody can play her right. But in the hands of someone skilled, she turns into an absolute nightmare. Lane pushing and jungle gold are both solid, with Butterfly earning well above average, and her tower damage is respectable too. So overall, in low to mid ranks, she's usually a C or B tier hero because players don't know how to time her dives. But in higher ranks, Butterfly can literally carry games solo, and I'd rate her A tier. Next up, let's talk about Liu Bei. He's kind of like Graves from Wild Rift, but personally, he plays a bit differently. The big thing with Liu Bei is that he relies heavily on his ultimate to engage in team fights. And here's the catch. If you haven't stacked your skills properly, that ultimate is basically doomed. Liu Bei is very situational. He's great against heroes that engage up close, but against high mobility enemies, he's in trouble. But remember this, if he stuns you even once, you're probably one-shot dead. Looking at his stats, his win rate is around 50.01%. Pick rate is 0.29%. Low because he's such a situational pick. For example, if the opponent has a Wukong, Liu Bei is actually a strong counter, and his ban rate just 0.03%. Almost nobody worries about him. Lane pushing is solid though. He takes 0.81 towers per match and deals 7.24k damage to towers, which is top 6 on the charts. Overall, I'd place him in C tier because his ultimate's reliability makes solo rank team fights unpredictable. But if you're playing with a coordinated team, he jumps up to B tier. And if you pick him as a counter to heroes like Wukong, he's basically S tier. Liu Bei is all about knowing when and where to strike. Fade, yeah, the thief who walks on walls, and I call him a thief because he steals kills like crazy. His ultimate can take down any squishy hero with just one shot, and when you combine it with skill 2, enemies are cooked. Low HP heroes, run away from that ultimate. Looking at his stats, he's not too impressive. Win rate is around 48.23%, pick rate is 0.38%, and ban rate is 0.11%. Jungle earnings? He's rank 9 with 1,461 gold per clear. Lane pushing, he averages 0.64 towers per match, dealing 5.87k damage to towers. Decent numbers. Overall, Fade is good, but in high ranks, he doesn't feel very strong. He's too squishy and easy to counter. He's great for low rank play, but for higher ranks, sorry guys, I have to put him in C tier. Jing. She's basically a mirror of your skill. If you can't play her like a friend of the bald guy, well, you're going to struggle to push ranks. I'm not trying to make fun, but in high tier play, a skilled Jing will absolutely destroy you. Now, her stats don't look great on paper. Her overall win rate is 43.76%. Pretty low, which shows that only about 5% of players can actually use her properly. And her pick rate? Just 0.20%. That's because she's super complex. But here's the thing, if you master Jing in high rank play, she can literally do 1 versus 5. Why? Because her recent buffs let her reset skill 1 and skill 2, giving her insane mirror swaps and huge advantages over enemies. Her ban rate is 0.08%, which shows no one's scared. Why? Simple. Most enemies assume nobody can play her well in solo rank, but if you really know her mechanics, whether in solo or a coordinated 5-man team, she's S+ tier. And in that case, enemies will 100% ban her because her ultimate is an absolute nightmare. Now here's the catch. If you're still learning Jing or don't know how to counter stuns properly, you're basically C tier Jing. But in high tier play, she's broken. I'd even rate her S+ tier. Jungle stats? Solid. She earns around 1,479 gold on average, which is decent. Tower stats? Not her strong suit. She pushes about 0.52 towers per match and deals 4.84k damage. So the takeaway? For pro level play, Jing is S+ tier. But for low skill players, she's stuck in C tier. Skill really makes the difference with this hero. Ukio Tachi, yeah, the ranged sword guy whose ultimate resets in just a few seconds. As a jungler, if he gets a lead, you are absolutely cooked. One stun, one shot, it's over. But if you're thriving and he falls behind, forget about it. You cannot win late game. Ukio requires good positioning and skill to connect with the right enemies in a team fight. His stats don't look amazing. Win rate is only 49.70%, pick rate is 0.33%, and ban rate is just 0.05%. Jungle earnings, around 1425 gold, which is average. Lane pushing, top 5 on the charts. He averages 0.85 towers per match and deals 7.17k damage to towers. Overall, Ukio is a really strong pick if the enemy team is full of squishies like mage supports and there's no one to protect the backline. In that case, S tier nightmare. But if the enemy picks solid tanks who can hold the backline, Ukio becomes a garbage pick. Even in high ranks, above 100 stars, Ukio isn't dominating. So overall, I'll keep him in B tier. Wukong, the sneaky trickster assassin who can jump out of nowhere and smack squishies so hard with his crits, they don't even know what hit them. Plus, his clone makes him even more slippery. You think you've got him, but nope, that's the decoy. Now, his pick rate? 0.99%. Not too bad, but he's definitely not flooding the ladder. Ban rate? Only 0.24%, which means most players aren't really worried about facing him. And the win rate? 47.46%. Yeah, that's not looking great. The stats call him unreliable. But in reality, if Wukong gets his items and sneaks into the back line, carries are deleted instantly. Want to see his pushing power? He averages 0.58 towers destroyed per match, with about 5.16k total tower damage. Jungle clear, around 1,461 gold, which is a bit below the top junglers, but enough to keep him going once he gets rolling. So why isn't he higher on the tier list? Simple. He's item dependent, struggles against tanks, and doesn't bring much utility outside of his pick potential. But once you hit those core items, he's flashy, fun, and deadly. Keeping all this in mind, I'm rating Wukong as B tier. Not meta defining, but a strong assassin for players who want a style on the backline. Next up, let's talk about Yao, the high mobility fighter assassin who can dominate early skirmishes and burst down squishies with his insane combo potential. His abilities let him dash through enemies, deal huge burst damage, and refresh his skills with star power, making him a nightmare both in the jungle and in team fights. Stats wise, he's strong. Win rate 51.22%, pick rate 0.72%, ban rate 0.06%. He earns about 1,545 gold per jungle clear, tops the charts for jungle farming, takes 0.60 towers per match, and deals around 4,890 damage to towers. Strengths? Yao shines in early game dominance, burst damage, and mobility. His skill resets and combo potential make him a serious threat in jungle fights and skirmishes. Weaknesses? He can be squishy if not built properly and may struggle against high sustain or crowd control in the late game. Overall, Yao is a solid B tier jungler. Perfect for early game pressure and bursting down targets, but his late game impact depends on positioning and itemization. Alright, let's talk about Ying, the fighter slash assassin jungler with both spear control and mobility. She can close gaps, launch enemies with her knockups, and deal solid damage if built well. Looking at the stats, her win rate is 52.30% with a pick rate of 0.77% and a ban rate of 0.26%. From the jungle stats, she destroys about 0.59 towers per match and deals around 5.09k tower damage. Not among the fastest pushers, but respectable for her role. Strength-wise, she brings strong CC, good mobility with her dash, and flexible builds that let her adapt between durability and burst. In the mid-game, she's a real threat if she gets rolling. Weakness-wise, her clear and tower pressure aren't top tier, and she's vulnerable to being locked down by heavy CC. Without items and levels, her impact drops off compared to S and A tier junglers. My take, Ying is performing well in the current patch with a healthy win rate, making her a reliable B tier jungler. She's not the most dominant pick, but she's definitely capable of carrying games when played smart and aggressive. Next up, let's talk about Zeong, the classic fighter jungler who can turn a game upside down if he gets a lead. He can split push towers like crazy and dive onto squishies with his ultimate. It's terrifying if you're not ready. He feels simple to pick up, but timing and positioning are key to mastering him. His win rate is around 50.84%, pick rate about 0.62%, and ban rate sits at 0.02%. He clears the jungle efficiently, earning roughly 1,387 gold per clear, and his lane pushing is solid, taking about 0.88 towers per match and dealing 7.05k damage to towers. Strength-wise, Zeong is excellent at chasing targets, split pushing, and creating constant pressure on the map. His ultimate is perfect for finishing low health enemies and quickly securing objectives. Weaknesses? He struggles against high mobility or tank heavy teams who can peel and lock him down. Falling behind early makes him less impactful in team fights. Overall, Zeong is a solid B tier pick in most matches. In the right hands and against squishy teams, he can feel A tier, but against coordinated teams with peel, he usually sits around B tier. Alright, let's talk about Nako Ruru, the high mobility assassin jungler who can dart around fights and pick off squishy targets with her combo potential. Her skills let her dash through enemies and deal big burst damage, making her a real threat in early skirmishes. She's like a shadow in the jungle, slippery, fast, and punishing if you get caught out. Looking at the stats, her win rate is 49.90%, pick rate 0.70%, and ban rate 0.25%. Jungle earnings about 1,438 gold per clear, a bit slower than top tier farmers. She takes only 0.41 towers per match and deals around 3.38k damage to towers, so her pushing is limited. Strength-wise, she excels in early game skirmishes, mobility, and picking off squishies. Her skill resets make her a nightmare in fights if used correctly. Weakness-wise, slower clears, low tower damage, and can struggle against tanks or high sustain enemies late game. So here's my take. Nako Ruru is perfect for early pressure and pickoffs, but she's not the strongest in extended fights. Overall, I put Nako Ruru in B tier. Great for skilled plays, but late game impact is limited. Next up, let's talk about Cirrus, a mythological bird. And if you're from India, think of him like a Jatayu. Cirrus is honestly so much fun to play. Flying without obstacles gives you a huge edge. Fast rotations in the jungle make him a really strong jungler. His ultimate gives immunity while capturing an enemy, which is insane in 1v1 fights and perfect for taking out squishy heroes. And don't forget his passive. It increases damage on his basic attacks, which can even melt down tanks. These days, you don't see him much in higher ranks, thanks to some nerfs, but he's still solid. Nothing to worry about if you're looking for an easy push hero. If you want to rotate fast in teamfights and gank jungle enemies without worrying about walls, Cirrus is your guy. Looking at the stats, his win rate is 51.36%, pick rate is 0.25%, and ban rate is 0.02%. But here's the truth. Many players use him greedily thinking they can ult and secure a kill every time. Don't do that. Enemies know how to counter it. Start focusing on team fights and you'll become a nightmare. MM and mages will be super scared. His lane pushing is strong too. He averages 0.75 towers per match and deals 6.17k damage to towers, putting him in top 6 on the charts. So overall, I would rate Cirrus as B tier. Fast, fun, and deadly when played right. Next up, Agudo. She's fast, mobile, and a nightmare in the early game. Her jungle clears are solid. She can dominate skirmishes, pressure lanes, soak damage, and disrupt enemies. If she gets a lead, she can turn any fight around. Stats: win rate 45.86%, pick rate 0.64%, ban rate 0.08%. Jungle earnings 1,348 gold, lane pushing 1.06 towers per match, 10.08k damage to towers. Strengths: early game dominance, teamfight utility, jungle control. Weaknesses: needs good skill timing, struggles late game against high damage mobile enemies. Overall, B tier jungler. Perfect for early pressure and team fights, but late game scaling keeps her from S tier. Alright, let's talk about Gao Chang Gong. He's an assassin who trades raw tower damage for insane burst and mobility. Earning around 1,250 gold per match, he's decent at farming, right? With a 48.86% win rate and 0.57% pick rate, he's solid, but not a staple in every draft. And his ban rate of 2.27% shows that players familiar with his power prefer to keep him off the board. Here's where it gets wild. Gao Chang Gong excels at closing gaps and bursting down targets before they can react. Catch someone out of position and he can delete them and slip away with style. Tower stats? Not his thing. He deals about 2.64k tower damage and destroys 0.31 towers per match. Teamfights and assassinations are where he truly shines. Now here's the kicker. In high ranks, Gao Chang Gong is easier to track and typically sits in A tier. But in lower ranks, he's S tier. His burst and mobility let you exploit mistakes and snowball games with ease. If you're looking for a high risk, high reward assassin who can pick off targets and turn fights, Gao Chang Gong is your guy. Master his timing and positioning and he becomes unstoppable. Levi, the slippery, stylish jungler who can literally dance around the battlefield. If you've ever faced him, you know how frustrating it can be. He dashes in and out, and his ultimate can completely melt squishy heroes if you get caught. He's like an assassin with the soul of a poet. Flashy, smooth, but super punishing if you mess up his combos. His win rate is around 50.62%, which is solid but not insane. His pick rate is 0.57%, meaning he's pretty popular among players who love mechanical heroes. Ban rate is 0.09%, so yeah, enemies respect him, but he's not Hanzhin or Nako Ruru level scary. Jungle earnings, 1,507 gold per match. Top tier clear speed thanks to his dashes and AoE attacks. He also takes about 0.54 towers per match and deals 4.57k damage to towers, which is above average. Strength-wise, he's incredibly mobile, unpredictable, and his ultimate can absolutely destroy squishies. His jungle clear is fast, and he can jump in and out of fights like a pro. Weakness-wise, he's squishy, requires really good mechanics, and if you mess up your ultimate or dash timing, you're basically useless. He's also not great against teams with heavy tanks and peel. So here's my take. Levi looks broken in highlight reels, but in reality, he demands skill and perfect positioning. In lower ranks, he feels like an A or S tier pick because people can't deal with his mobility. In higher ranks though, he's more like B+ to A- tier since good players know how to lock him down. Overall, I'd safely put Levi in A tier, a hero that rewards skill but punishes mistakes. Alright, let's talk about Pei. He's a mobile assassin with high burst damage who can turn fights in his favor. He averages 1.12 towers destroyed per match and deals about 10.26k tower damage, which means he's not just ganking, but actually threatening objectives. Pei also farms fast with 1,593 gold per match, so he snowballs hard and keeps his items coming. Pei thrives on form swapping and chaining combos to reset abilities and keep the pressure on. If you can mark enemies and dash onto them repeatedly, he becomes an S-tier monster. Players who master his combos and mobility push him into S+ territory, making him nearly unstoppable. The catch? Mismanage his energy and you'll dash into trouble. Overall, Pei is a top pick for players who want to dominate with mobility and burst. Mousashi is that honorable swordsman type who makes you feel like you're in an anime duel every time you lock him in. Problem is, most of the time, it feels like you're dueling your own skill bar more than the enemy. Now, his stats aren't bad at all. His jungle earnings sit at 1,333 plus gold on average, not the top, but steady, and he gets an A-tier rank with a 50.00% win rate. That's right on the balance line, neither carrying nor inting by default. His pick rate is 1.33%, which is actually one of the higher ones, meaning players do like trying him out, but his ban rate, just 0.28%. Basically, no one's scared of a Mousashi unless they've been sliced up by a really good one. The fun part? When piloted well, Mousashi is a reset machine. His combos let him dash in, delete the enemy carry, and still have tools to escape. But, and here's the serious part, his skill ceiling is pretty brutal. If your timing is even a little off, you're left swinging air while the enemy CCs you to death. Tower stats? Nothing to brag about compared to Hanzhin or Pei. He's more about hunting players than melting objectives, but in coordinated fights, he's deadly. Mousashi is an A-tier jungler in high play, but in solo queue, he feels more like B-tier because of how easy it is to mess up. If you're confident with precision timing, he'll make you look like a dueling god. If not, you're basically an ult battery for the enemy mage. Sema Yi, the assassin who plays in the shadows. This guy is all about ambushes, sneaking around, striking fast, and deleting squishies before they even know what happened. With his insane burst damage and silence, he can make any mage or marksman's life a living nightmare. But here's the deal, Sema Yi is a high-risk, high-reward hero. If you time your engages perfectly, you can 100% carry fights. But if you dive in too early or whiff your combo, you're cooked, man. Crowd control shuts him down instantly. Looking at his stats, his win rate is decent, sitting around the average zone. His pick rate is a bit higher than other assassins because people love flashy plays. And his ban rate? It spikes in high ranks because experienced players know how scary he gets. For jungle performance, he's earning solid gold per clear and his tower pressure is decent, but let's be honest. You don't pick Sema Yi for tower damage, you pick him to hunt down carries. So overall, in lower ranks, I'd say he's B tier because people often misplay and feed, but in high ranks, Sema Yi is an A tier assassin. Alright, let's talk about Juans. He's basically the Enzo of Honor of Kings. He can hook like Kui, but he can't stun like him. Juans has a ton of mobility and he can enhance his basic attack on anyone he hooks. Hey, I'm not kidding. Now his pick rate, absolutely horrible. Just 0.14%, barely above Athena. And the reason is simple. Most players just don't understand his mechanics properly. And the ban rate, 0.02%. No one's scared of him. His win rate sits at 49%, which stats say makes him a bad pick. But in reality, Juans is deadly when it comes to hooking MMs and mages. If he lands that hook, you lose the team fight. Want to play him as a semi-tank? You can cook the enemies with hooks, throw them around like potatoes, and still deal crazy damage to towers. In fact, he hits rank 4 on tower destruction, averaging 0.94 towers per match. And total damage to towers is 8.94k. Insane! Jungle clear? He earns around 1,550 gold, putting him top 3 on the jungle charts. So why is he low on the tier list? Simple. People lack the skill to play him properly. But once you get it, his mobility, hooking, and ability to take out damage dealers is insane. Keeping all this in mind, I'm rating Juans as A tier. Alright, let's talk about Lamb. He's an assassin fighter hybrid with fluid combos and deadly burst. Earning around 1,493 jungle earnings, he's pretty efficient at farming, right? With a 48.60% win rate and 1.29% pick rate, he's both popular and performs consistently. His ban rate of 3.10% shows how much respect he commands. Players who know his true power often take him off the board. Here's where it gets wild. Lamb revolves around chaining his skills. His space splits spin marks enemies, then his enhanced basic attacks let him dash through targets, heal, and reset cooldowns. If you weave his dashes and spin correctly, Lamb can stick to a target, burst them down, and slip away before they even know what hit them. Tower stats? Not his main focus. He deals about 4.12k tower damage and destroys 0.47 towers per match. Respectable, but he's more about skirmishes than sieges. Now here's the kicker. Because Lamb is mechanically demanding, he's S tier in the hands of skilled players, especially in higher ranks. In lower ranks, his kit can be tricky to master, but if you nail the combo, he snowballs hard and punishes enemy mistakes. If you want an assassin who can dance in and out of fights, dash through enemies, and carry games with slick mechanics, Lamb is your guy. Master his spacing and timing, and he becomes unstoppable. Alright, let's talk about Auggrin. He's a fighter who combines mobility and execution power in a unique way. Earning around 1,300 gold per match, Auggrin is solid at farming, right? With a 48.78% win rate and 1.12% pick rate, he stays consistent even with a decent popularity. And his ban rate of 6.14% shows that players who understand his potential aren't keen on facing him. Here's where it gets wild. Auggrin can leap over walls and carve paths through the map. His first skill lets him ignore terrain and slow enemies, giving him incredible map mobility. Each time he defeats an enemy, he collects their soul and can enter a seer state, allowing him to execute low health foes and refresh his cooldowns. If you chain his soul summoning and dashes correctly, Auggrin becomes a juggernaut who can clean up fights and chase down stragglers. Tower stats? He deals about 4.70k tower damage and destroys 0.56 towers per match. That's respectable, but his real value lies in his rotations and teamfight presence rather than pure turret pushing. Now here's the kicker. Auggrin's versatility keeps him S tier across most ranks. In high-level games, skilled players exploit his wall crossing and execution mechanics to swing fights. In lower ranks, he can feel tricky to master, but if you get the hang of his combo timing, he snowballs hard and forces constant pressure on the map. If you're looking for a fighter who can traverse the battlefield, harvest souls, and finish off enemies in style, Auggrin is your guy. Master his pathing and seer mechanics, and he'll carry games with ease. Athena... yeah, probably the least used hero in ranked right now. A 0.13% pick rate. Oh my god! That's horrible! She's honestly one of the most forgotten heroes out there. And the ban rate? You can literally laugh at it. 0.01%. Meanwhile, Da Chao's out there with her global ultimate. Athena pew pew pew, global death presence, and people still pick her. Her win rate is actually decent, sitting at about 49.07%. Now here's where it gets crazy. Athena just got huge buffs in the latest patch. Her passive base damage went from 480 to 970 plus 120% physical attack, all the way up to 600 to 1,200 plus 190% physical attack. That's massive. And her skill 1, Holy Advance? Oh man, this is wild! Before, it was 300 base damage plus 60 per level plus 75% physical attack. Now, it's 400 base plus 80 per level with 140% scaling. That's insane! And the shield? From 375 to 600 plus 120 per level plus 10% extra health. That's a monster buff. So yeah, 2 of her core skills just got juiced up, and this could flip the whole meta. Before, she was stuck in C tier because she couldn't make a big impact unless she went full tank. But now, she's about to dominate team fights. That global death presence we used to laugh at, Now it's the thing that's going to scare you. Even her jungle stats got better. She used to average around 1,396 gold. Decent. But after this buff, she's clearing faster, hitting close to 1,500 gold. That's off the charts. And the best part, her late game win rate is now about 54%. That is no joke. With these changes, Athena is absolutely not staying in C tier. From my own experience, Athena shows up more in higher ranks. She's amazing in team fights, soaking up damage with her ultimate. Honestly guys, I really believe this might be the Athena meta, and she could even rival Lamb and Auggrin in raw power. Hanzhin is the classic flashy assassin. The kind of jungler who either makes you look like a highlight reel god, or makes you look like you just installed the game yesterday. On paper, his stats are solid. His jungle earnings are 1,621 gold, the highest among junglers, which means he farms crazy fast. He also leads in lane pushing with 1.14 towers destroyed per match and 10.36k tower damage. That's not just good, that's top of the charts. But here's the catch. His win rate sits at 51.07% with a 0.52% pick rate. That screams, only confident players touch me. And his ban rate, 0.07%. Enemies aren't scared, because most Hanzhin players flop. But when a good Hanzhin shows up, oh boy. He turns the whole game into a track meet, diving in and out, deleting squishies before they blink. In ranked, he's graded C tier, but that's deceptive. At low skill, yeah, he's C tier. But in pro play or with a mechanically sharp pilot, he's an S tier menace. In my opinion, Hanzhin is all about mechanical mastery. If you can handle his resets and combos, he'll carry games with tower pressure and gold snowballing. If not, you're just feeding highlights to the enemy mage. Alright, next up is Mankey, and let me tell you, this guy is one of the strongest heroes if you know how to stack his passive with his skills. He can chase down squishy enemies with his ultimate like a beast. Think of him like Zhang Fei as a tank but with insane burst damage. Looking at his stats, his win rate is about 52%, pick rate is 0.28%, and ban rate is only 0.05%. That win rate, it's the second highest in jungling. Very few players know how to use him properly, but the hero is actually really easy to play. From my personal experience in high ranks above 100 stars, Mankey is absolutely undefeatable. If a Yarria sits on him, you're cooked. Your 5-man team, doesn't matter how much damage or stuns you have, you are done. Tower stats are a bit lower. He deals about 4.96 thousand damage to towers and takes around 0.57 towers per match. Jungle clear, he averages 1,320 gold because you need to stack his passive with skills. But once you do, he can clear faster than Hanzhin. So if you're looking for a hero that's not complex but can still dominate the battlefield, Mankey is your guy. I'm rating him S+ tier, rank 1 jungler. Even Auggrin can't touch him, and Lamb, joke for him. Alright, let's talk about Luna. She's a fighter mage hybrid who can control the battlefield like no other. She earns around 1,527 gold per match, so she's not bad at farming, right? Her 51.04% win rate and 0.84% pick rate means she's solid but not overpicked. And her ban rate is 1.32%, so players who know her true potential are keeping their eyes on her. But here's where it gets crazy. Luna's got this infinite ultimate combo. She can mark enemies, then dash onto them and reset her ultimate. This means she can keep going with that 1 versus 5 potential. If you land the combo right, Luna's gonna obliterate squishies and control the fight. Now, tower stats, not Luna's strong suit. She does about 4.96 thousand tower damage and destroys 0.57 towers per match. Not the best, but hey, teamfights are where she shines. Want the big kicker? If Luna can keep resetting her ultimate, she's no longer just S tier, she jumps to S+ tier. She becomes an unstoppable monster who can turn teamfights all by herself. If you're looking to control the game, keep the pressure on, and provide some solid utility, Luna is a solid pick. But if you can nail that infinite ultimate combo, she's going to be unstoppable. Alright, let's wrap this up with Jang. He wasn't really seen as a jungler before, but after this season's revamp, his gameplay feels absolutely insane. If you're running him now, trust me, it's an easy rank push. His skill 1 will lock onto and chase down any low health damage dealer. It's like a death sentence. And his ultimate, if you land it on 5 enemies, it's basically like refilling your health bar on the spot. That's why this season, Jang is without a doubt an S+ tier jungler. As for the off-meta picks, Fang works well as a jungler and sits comfortably in A tier, Chano also belongs in A tier, Ata, on the other hand, drops down to B tier, and Juan makes it into B tier too, but only in the right hands. She can shine if the player really knows her. Now let's talk mages. Kongming only reaches S tier if he secures a kill early on, otherwise he falls back into A tier territory. And that's the final jungle tier list for this season of Honor of Kings.